Hi, everyone, and we're back with another episode of Ask the Landlord with our favorite landlord, Albert Duet. I'm Melissa. I'm one of Albert's producers and a former New York City, Pittsburgh, Lafayette, Louisiana, and Washington, D.C. renter, and now a Pittsburgh homeowner. And together, we're going to be asking this landlord some questions. If you have a question for Albert, call us and leave us a voicemail on the Ask the Landlord hotline. That number, 646-580-3015. All right, Albert, I want to get into it. We just bought this house. There's so many things to fix, so many already horror stories we've had. And I want to know, in your professional opinion of the years you've been a landlord, an owner, a renter, what fixes can I do myself and when should I hire professionals? I'm talking painting, electrical, plumbing, and anything else you can think of.
So my wife has a rule about these things,
Yes.
and it's like marital advice. If you want it, I'll give it to you both if you want it.
I want it. We
If you have
want
to
it.
ask a question, it's probably not a good idea.
What? Okay, keep going.
Like if I say to my wife, is it okay if I... No.
So
Probably.
when Alan, when he asked me if he could buy these two big speakers behind me, I should have said, no, it's not a good idea.
It's like, if it was a good idea, you wouldn't have to ask about it.
Right. I like that.
You know. So anyway, so generally, and this is like, a lot of our questions are common sense questions that we answer, but
Not always.
so common sense means that most people can do it that don't have to be a special, license to do something. So, sure, there's a lot of knowledge available on the internet, and there's a lot of books and places where you could buy the proper supplies to do things. Generally, a lot of things you can do repairs yourself, but whenever you're getting into like dangerous or combustible things, or things that could hurt you like electricity or gas or oil or whatever, or machinery that's complex, usually, obviously, that requires a professional. And if you're going to move things around, for example, let's say you decided to put in a laundry machine, and you don't have a hookup, right? And you don't have a hookup. You need a guy for that. Like, there's no, Alan is not running the pipes to put a laundry thing,
And it was a gas dryer.
Right. So I'm like, that you need a professional for that. Now, if Alan knows how to solder and do pipes and, I appreciate that, but he's not licensed, and you need someone that's licensed to sign off so that someone didn't make a mistake. So that's like important. But generally, sheetrocking, painting, things like that, you don't need a permit for. If you're usually if you're building rooms or things like that, sometimes you do need a permit for that stuff. If you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing and following codes for the means of egress and all that. But most do-it-yourself jobs, don't need obviously a permit. And then there are things like replacing cabinets don't need a permit in the kitchen. Retiling your bathroom doesn't need a permit, right?
No.
Right? Changing a faucet on your sink doesn't need a permit, right?
What about taking off a ceiling fan? A ceiling fan,
Doesn't need a
removing
permit,
one.
right? Changing the light. No, you don't need a permit. But if you're going to upgrade the electric to your house, you need a permit. Or if you're going to go wire, new wiring in your whole house, that's going to need a permit, but not this. So there are, and you can look online also. It's like, do I need a permit to do this? A lot of people have like projects they want to take on certain projects and like conquer them, which I give them all credit in the world to do that. But some people don't realize how difficult these jobs are until they try to do them themselves. So when I say, what does something cost? many people don't understand what cost is. Let me break it down for you. So this is like you doing something versus a professional doing something, right? Cost. You're always assessing the cost. The cost is time, energy, money, and opportunity cost of like, what would you be doing instead of doing this? So you're like, well, yes, Alan could build this wall, but it takes 3 days. You're like, it's going to take him 3 days, or it could take a guy that knows how to do it 1 day. And, Alan could be doing podcasts for 2 days. Of course, he could do this. And it costs us less money, but it'll cost 2 days of energy and this and that. And we could have been doing something else with that very valuably, all that stuff. So those are
very true.
Questions.
Yeah. And how many trips to Home Depot or Lowe's are you going to take?
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been a learning curve and it's really good. We painted this whole house ourselves, but then I left the trim and the doors for the professionals because that is something that is much harder than the walls, right? So we're kind of establishing that like happy medium. What's something else that
you want to do? Like you want to have pride of ownership also. Like you want to think,
exactly.
You know what? I did that. That's beautiful. And so who cares if it takes you 10 years? But it might be a project you say, look, it's my pleasure to do that. I want to look at that and say that I did it. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So you know what? Yeah. That's part of the fun. So that's also, I'm acknowledging that, you doing that with your own hands, that's great. That's part of what makes it fun for you. So so yes, it might cost you more or less, or take you more or less time, but that's something that you want to do. And they say, I did it and cared about it in a certain way, and I put this kind of paint, and I bought this thing from the guy, and the thing. Okay, beautiful. Yeah.
And you learn something new. All right, let me ask you this though. So we do have some electrical work that needs done. We knew that from the home inspection. And then it's a lot more than we anticipated because the home inspector was just like a thumbs down. And so my question to you is, should we shop around for electricians and for plumbers and that sort of thing? Like how many do you have
3.
Come here and give you a quote? 3?
3. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. I love that there was a concrete answer for that.
Why 3? Why 3?
Why 3? I don't know. Because then you'll 2 to 1.
Well, first of all, where you're going to learn something from each guy that's different.
Yes.
And and I wouldn't go saying, oh, that's what the other guy said. I would just take notes from each guy, right? And then, get quotes from each guy and then compare what's missing, what's different, what's the same, right? And then, when you have at least 3, you find that, you might have one guy that's very high price. You might have one guy that's very low price. You might have one guy that's in the middle, and 3 people, in my experience, and I mean really 3. I mean, has you have a good idea of what something's going to cost and what it's going to take, and it'll have you want to learn. You're not expert, right? So you're going to call electricians. You're going to call 3 of them. One guy's going to say, you should replace the whole house. And you're like,
got it. Happened to me.
You're like, what? Like, everything's fine. It's been here for 50 years. It's going to be here for 50 years. Then the next guy's going to go, you know what? This is old and it's going to be fine. And I would just fix this. Right. And the third guy's going to say, I could do this little thing or whatever. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. I don't have to replace the whole house. Then you can ask these other guys, like, this guy told me I should replace the whole house. What do you think about that? You go back. Yeah. There you go. So 3 is generally what I do.
Yeah, Albert, I feel so good about myself. Maybe it's just from this podcast, your energy, but this happened to us and I got 3 and then we made our decision. I want to tell you really quickly the story. It was a kind of a horror story, and I want everyone out there listening to avoid this at all costs and just have your eyes open, and so you don't fall victim to this. So we're driving, Alan and I are just driving in our neighborhood, and there's a big company and it says like gas, plumbing, something electrical. And I didn't even know this company. I just Googled it. And I was like, oh, let me call. I needed electric done. That was it. I call them. They're like, oh, okay, Ron will come out tomorrow. He comes out. It was a $25 fee, no problem. He basically did an entire home inspection. I wanted him to literally replace 2 outlets in one room. That was it. And a fan that was flickering. Okay. He eventually, fast forward, he takes us this gas sniffer, does gas at the gas meter, goes off, goes to the dryer, goes to the gas boiler, it goes off. $14,000 later, he tries to quote me, starts talking financing, starts talking payment plans. And I'm like laughing at him. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this home is in such great condition. He's pointing out all these things, like you just said, of what I don't need. Fast forward, I'm like, okay, this is not happening. Let me call. I got a second plumber right away. Fun fact, I didn't know plumbers did gas. So that's a great thing I learned. I never knew that. I was a renter, people. I didn't know. So had this guy, okay, this is a plumber. He's probably in his 49 to 52. He's a referral from our handyman. He comes, Albert, with a lighter and just uses a lighter at all the gas points. I almost had a heart attack. Have you ever heard of that? I was freaking. He's like, and then, okay, third plumber comes. I get like a medium company, right? So we have the very high end.
I would throw the guy out of the house.
I was free. He did it outside, and he's like, because you would smell it. There's no gas leak in my house. Fast forward. So I had the high end people, the very expensive. Then I had like
Never heard this in my life. Never heard this in my life.
Really?
Okay, go on.
It might be a Pittsburgh thing. A lighter. I swear,
Are you
a lighter.
insane? You knew it was insane.
I was having a panic attack, and I was like, Alan, back up.
I'm having a panic attack and I wasn't there.
I know. I wish I could have taken a video. And then there's more. But then I got a medium company, right? Like a medium company plumber come here. It was like $59. And they did the sniffer, and then they did this like spray test on all the gas. Not one gas leak. Okay.
You could spray with
Not
soap,
one.
You know?
Yeah, I know. I learned that. You spray with Dawn and water and it would bubble. I learned all this new language. Anyways, my point is you're absolutely right. I'm learning so many things, and 3 is the happy number. And it was I have so many more stories about that, but homeownership is no joke. You learn so many things, but the guy tells me I have a gas leak and that it's going to be like, for the gas portion, it was about $3,000. And then these two other guys. Yeah. One was unconventional with a lighter, and I wish you were here for that. And then the third was like, yeah, you're fine. And they did it properly. So I felt really good about not doing anything. Because you don't joke about gas. Like, that's terrifying. No. Definitely when you call the professionals, 3 of them. That was the story.
Yeah, I'll tell you a bad story about that. Not crazy, but I have an uncle. I'm going to change names and pronouns. So the uncle calls me and says, oh, I have this problem with some mice, and they have mites in my house underneath, and it's like I'm getting mites in the house. So I said, okay. And she goes, oh, and they quoted me, they want to re-pour the slab in my basement to solve the problem, and it's going to cost me $30,000. And I go, wait a second, you have bugs. And they want to charge you $30,000. What was the next thing that I said, Melissa?
You said get a second opinion.
I had 3 quotes. I said, did you get 3 quotes?
Yeah, third. No. 2 more.
He said no to me, he says. I said, what'd you do? Oh, I just went ahead with it. I'm like, because people don't want to go through the process. You obviously have something that needs to be handled, right? Mm-hmm. You need to take a step back and obviously say it's an emergency or not, and then you're like we talked about in previous episodes. Okay, now how do I deal with this strategically? Let me get the 3 quotes from the people so that I could learn about the problem. I don't know what the problem is. These people know what the problem is.
Right.
Imagine someone told me, oh, I have to spend $30,000 to get rid of this thing. I'm like, when it cost $500. I mean, come on.
Right. And I feel like these companies, and I read reviews, the one in Pittsburgh, Target, like they'll target older people who don't know, or like first time home buyers who also don't know. So thank God.
There are people
Yeah.
that, you know, do, you know, look, there, if I said to you, oh, Melissa, you know, do you want the 100% guarantee that something never happened in a million years? It's going to cost you $10,000. Do you want the 99% guarantee? It's going to cost you $2,000. You know, you said you'll take the chance, but at least you want to know the options. You know?
Right. No, definitely I've had to do so much research and so many hours of, but it's really good because like each time someone comes, you're like learning about your house and learning about this space and what these parts do. Fun facts with our inspector, we have like this red gas boiler and then it attaches to something else. He had no idea what that was. And I just wish I like could have, do your diligence on your home inspector, get all of it, because ours was not the brightest.
It's important to develop a relationship with the home inspector to so that he knows you and what you're looking for. And again,
Right.
interview 3 of them.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I didn't do that. I took a referral, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, definitely get 3 quotes or estimates from people. Take the time. It is
Why do you do
absolutely
that? You do that to learn about your problem. You do that to learn about the person, and you learn about the cost. And the cost is time, energy, money, lost opportunities.
absolutely. All right, you said it so well. Thank you so much, Albert. That was so great. Thanks.
Okay.